He's like, yeah, I was actually running late because I forgot my wallet. Can I Zelle?
All right, go and watch that whole video, because when I tell you that it is the Manosphere Red Pill Talking Points, I already knew what it was going to be before the video even started. And many of you who are going out there on these dates are going to find the same thing happening over and over and over. So in her video, 1, he showed up late. 2, he showed up disheveled. 3, he pretended as if he didn't have his wallet. These men are in groups with one another, telling each other the tactics to try to make you prove that you a good one, or that you a good girl, or that you this or you're that. And she talks about this male loneliness epidemic. And the crazy part about it is that these men, they're setting themselves up so that they have no options or alternative but to be with one another. The whole thing is ridiculous. Let me tell you, because that's how it happens. And they're telling them how to do. Usually, listen, they done up the ante, because they were saying that to do this test on the second or third date. Now they're doing it on the first damn date. And they are using this to surmise that you just wasn't a down A chick because you didn't allow him to not have to pay. And so they're trying to act like this is some sort of, I can't even think of it. This is a test for you, instead of him coming forward. So listen, throughout the ages and in all species of the animal kingdom, it is the male who comes forward to show his feathers, show his flowers, to put forth the food before the house that he's made, if they're a little bird, etc. In all species of the animal kingdom, the male is the one who has to prove himself to be able to have access to furthering his genes. But you see, and I talked about this in a video earlier today, because for thousands of years, we have had men create this inflated sense of, so listen, it's an artificial sense of their worth. So they manufactured societies that are filled with violence, upward mobility outside of hunter-gatherer societies, etc. So that now we have industrialization, we have kingships, we have the areas unsafe for women and girls to traverse, unsafe because of men. And this is part of the reason that they want to make our societies unsafe again, because they know that that was the advantage that they had in prehistoric times. So now we got Second Amendment rights in the U.S. We have governing bodies that, by and large, are supposed to support fairness, so women are not as afraid as they once were. So now, remember how back in the early days of the internet, men would come around talking about, oh, that's why you can't keep no man. Where's your man at? Because for thousands of years, right, they have convinced women. So listen, there is womb envy going on out there. They know that inherent in our being is the womb that carries life. That without this womb, that we cannot continue the species. The egg has more DNA matter, it has more genetic coding, it has all of that, right? They know that they have the fertilizer, and we know. So listen, back in the days when they used to go to other societies warring, they would just, the men, and they would capture the women and the children. They know that in our body, in our being, is intrinsic value for continuation of the species. And their value comes from propagating unsafeness for women, children, old people, etc. So, let me stop right here. Hold on. So they have manufactured an artificial worth by the propagation of violence, etc. So that now, and also holding on to all of the resources. So when we were in hunter-gatherer societies, women and children did 60% of the hunting, and then they were gathering berries. They created pots and stuff like that to be able to hold water and foods and all of those other things, right? So they manufactured war, they manufactured unsafeness, and they hoarded the resources. First, they privatized women's labor to be inside of their home, right? And then from there, now your worth, the artificial worth that women gained was by being aligned with a man, by being connected to a man. And women are coming out of the fog, just like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz when they came out of that field of daisies that had put them all to sleep. We're in the age of Aquarius, and women are coming out of the fog, and they're like, no, this isn't, no, I work, I do most of the work in the house, I take care of the kids, I do all of this stuff. So why am I putting up with a person who is now adding additional labor and tasks for me to have to do in this home, rather than just either foregoing? Listen, by 2029, what is it? Forbes says that 45% of women are going to be single and child free. They're opting out. And these men, instead of trying to create some way that they can have value as a partner, so that the value can be in partnership, rather than doing that, they're trying to cling on to ways for you to try to showcase or prove your value. Meanwhile, you are the womb holder. You are the keeper of the womb. And they want you to try to prove your value. You are born with inherent worth. You don't have, listen, just by mere being a keeper of the womb, you are born with the genetic coding, with the vessel by which all human life, the portal by which all human life passes through. And they know deep in their hearts that there's this insecurity that exists inside of them, where they're like, oh man, is she gonna figure out that she could do all of this by herself? So I think even some of them are convinced in their minds, because they have to believe the lie. Listen, now you see them on the internet talking about, oh, we built this society, we made all these inventions, but slowly but surely, people are coming out with the real, how women had made these inventions and men put their name on it, much like the enslaved Africans who were trafficked into this country, the inventions that they made. Remember, history is written by the people who write it, and they write their story. They write his story. Nonetheless, tell me what it is that you think. What is it that you've been seeing out there? I am Tanya TKO. For those of you who are new to my channel, I am a self-love specialist. And in loving yourself, listen, many of us are just, in choosing self-love, we're not putting up with this effery. Like, I just don't get what they're clinging to. I honestly don't. Rather than them actually creating some value and some real worth in a family, they're clinging on with this nonsense. But anyway, let me get out of here. Tanya TKO, and I'm out. Peace.